Switzerland, a country known for its breathtaking landscapes, pristine lakes, and stunning alpine peaks, is also home to one of the most unique and extensive bunker networks in the world. Yes, you heard that right, bunkers. A staggering 374,142 of them, hidden away under the scenic countryside and bustling cities. But why does a neutral country like Switzerland need so many bunkers? To understand the answer, we need to take a journey back in time and look at Switzerland's geographical and historical context. Let's start by taking a closer look at a map of Europe. Notice Switzerland's location strategically nestled in the heart of Central Europe, surrounded by major powers like Germany, France, and Italy. This central position has made Switzerland a focal point during many European conflicts throughout history. If we zoom in further, you'll see that Switzerland's borders are shaped by some of Europe's most formidable natural barriers, the Alps. These mountains have served as both a protective shield and a geographic constraint, influencing the country's defense strategies for centuries. But geographical advantages alone weren't enough to ensure Switzerland's safety, especially during times of war. Historically, Switzerland has always been surrounded by potential threats. But instead of aligning with these powerful neighbors, the Swiss have steadfastly maintained their neutrality. This neutral stance, while keeping them out of alliances, also made them vulnerable to invasion. And so, the Swiss developed a very unique and strategic defense mechanism: digging. Let's take a closer look at the map during World War II. Switzerland was literally surrounded by Axis powers. To the north and east was Nazi Germany, to the south, Fascist Italy, and to the west, Vichy France. The Swiss knew that their best chance at survival was to be prepared for an invasion that luckily never came. Thus, they began a massive construction project that would span decades, the construction of bunkers, fortresses, and defensive positions across the country. But these bunkers weren't just randomly scattered. The Swiss military strategically placed them in key locations, mountain passes, city outskirts, and even inside urban areas. If you look at this map, you can see that the bunkers are concentrated around critical access points to the Alps and near the borders, especially near Germany and Italy. These bunkers were designed to control access through Switzerland's mountainous terrain, which was seen as the country's natural fortress. One key feature of the Swiss defense strategy was the National Redoubt, or Réduit National, a network of bunkers, fortresses, and artillery positions embedded deep within the Alps. This map shows the main corridors through the mountains, which were heavily fortified to resist any invading force. The idea was simple. If an enemy invaded, the Swiss army would retreat to these fortified positions in the Alps, effectively turning the entire mountainous region into a massive, impenetrable fortress. Over the years, the bunker network expanded, especially during the Cold War, when the fear of nuclear war prompted Switzerland to not just defend its borders, but also protect its population from potential fallout. During this time, the Swiss government enacted laws requiring that every new building be constructed with a fallout shelter capable of withstanding a nuclear blast. If we zoom in on this map of Zurich, you'll notice a pattern bunkers hidden in plain sight. In cities like Zurich, Geneva, and Bern, many bunkers are disguised as ordinary buildings, schools, warehouses, or even residential homes. But beneath these facades are fortified structures capable of sheltering thousands of people. Take this location in the Swiss countryside, for example. On the surface, it looks like a regular farmhouse nestled in the idyllic landscape. But underneath, it hides a massive bunker capable of housing an entire village. This is not an isolated case. There are thousands of such locations scattered across Switzerland, each contributing to the country's impressive ability to protect its citizens in times of crisis. Even in rural areas, where you might expect fewer defensive structures, bunkers are prevalent. This widespread distribution ensures that no matter where an attack might come from, there are bunkers nearby to offer protection. The idea was simple. If Switzerland were invaded, the Swiss army and civilians could retreat into these bunkers, turning the entire country into a fortress. As we move through the decades, you can see how the bunker network grew. By the time the Cold War was at its peak, Switzerland had one of the highest densities of bunkers per capita in the world. This map, which overlays the growth of the bunker network over time, shows the expansion from the 1940s through the 1980s. The Swiss government even conducted regular drills to ensure that the population was ready to use these shelters if the need arose. The strategy wasn't just about protecting the population. It was also about making any potential invasion as costly as possible. The bunkers in the mountain passes, for example, are not just shelters, they're also heavily armed fortresses. These fortresses were equipped with artillery, machine guns, and anti-tank weapons, all aimed at controlling the narrow passes that an invading army would have to traverse. This map highlights the choke points, narrow mountain passes, and valleys that were heavily fortified. If an invading force attempted to move through these areas, they would be met with fierce resistance from well-protected Swiss forces. The Swiss military's plan was to fall back to these heavily fortified positions, known as the National Redoubt, and make a stand in the Alps. These defense lines were designed to be so strong that an invading force would face extreme difficulties in advancing, buying time for international negotiations, or for the enemy to give up altogether. Switzerland's approach to national defense was unique. While other European countries built alliances and developed large standing armies, Switzerland invested in fortifications. If we compare the distribution of bunkers in Switzerland with its neighbors, you can see the stark contrast. This map illustrates how Switzerland's bunker density dwarfs that of neighboring countries, which focused more on traditional military defenses. Switzerland's strategy was always about being self-reliant and prepared to defend its neutrality at all costs. However, as the threat of nuclear war diminished at the end of the Cold War, many of these bunkers were decommissioned. Today, some have been repurposed, turned into museums, data centers, or even cheese storage facilities. But many remain untouched, a silent reminder of a time when the world was a far more dangerous place. Even though the likelihood of these bunkers being used as originally intended has decreased, they still play a role in Switzerland's defense strategy. This map highlights the locations of still active bunkers, maintained by the Swiss government. In recent years, global instability has led to a renewed interest in these structures. The idea of national preparedness has regained importance, and Switzerland's bunkers are once again being inspected and, in some cases, upgraded to ensure they are still functional. In fact, recent global events have led to renewed interest in these bunkers. Let's zoom in on this map showing areas where inspections and upgrades have been most active. The Swiss government has been working to ensure that these shelters remain operational, part of Switzerland's broader commitment to remain ready for any eventuality, even as the nature of threats evolves. So, why does Switzerland have 374,142 bunkers? It's because this small, neutral country has always understood that peace is something you prepare for. These bunkers are not just relics of the past. They are a testament to Switzerland's commitment to neutrality, self-reliance, and the safety of its people. Switzerland's bunker network is more than just a series of fortifications. It's a symbol of the country's dedication to maintaining its independence and protecting its citizens. This map of Switzerland, overlaid with the locations of its bunkers, tells the story of a nation that, despite its size, has never taken its security for granted. As we look to the future, Switzerland's bunkers remain a key component of the country's defense strategy. Whether repurposed or maintained for their original use, these structures are a reminder of the lengths to which Switzerland has gone to ensure its safety and neutrality. In a world where peace is often fragile, Switzerland's bunkers stand as a testament to the belief that being prepared is the best way to ensure peace. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Switzerland's bunker network, make sure to like and subscribe for more fascinating stories about the world's most unique places. And if you want to see more map-based explorations like this one, leave a comment below with your suggestions for future topics. See you in the next video.